This is example 1.8, and the question asks, the volume of a certain refrigerator is 2.88 meters cubed. How many liters is that? So let's start with the basics. We're doing 2.88 meters. What on earth? Meters cubed. We want to multiply that by something. Eventually we're going to need to make it to liters, but we're going to have to take it sort of in a hop skip to get there. So we know that liters and milliliters are easily related to each other, and we know that milliliters and cubic centimeters are the same. So let's just head towards centimeters and we'll get to where we need to get in the end. So we're going to put meters here and centimeters here. When we multiply these two, and again, let's put a conversion factor up here. So meters, centimeters. There is 1 meter for every 100 centimeters. So my 1 meter goes here and my 100 goes here. The problem is that if I try to cancel this out, I have this 3 here, which means that my meters is not the same here as it is here, because meters cubed actually means meters times meters times meters, which means only one of those meters would cancel out with the meters on the bottom. So to fix that, I can just cube this entire thing. And then if you've done exponents in algebra, you'll know that this applies to everything. So let's rewrite what I have. I have 2.88 meters cubed, and my new fraction becomes 1 cubed, which is still just 1 meters cubed. The top, the centimeters, becomes cubed, and the 100 also becomes cubed. So that would be like 100 to the third. We can also rewrite that in a different way so that it's easier to see. So let's take that 100 cubed, and in case you feel unconfident doing that, you can take your calculator and you can type in 100, and then you can find your exponent button, which mine looks like this. It's a x with a little y over it, and then say to the third, and I can see that it turns into a million, so 1 with 6 zeros. You can also type it into your calculator just like 100 to the third when you multiply this other number. All right, so our meter cubes are going to cancel out, and we're going to be left with 2.88 times 1 with a lot of zeros, and that's going to give us centimeters cubed. So in this case, that will be 2.880000 centimeters cubed. And that's good because that's the unit that we want, because that means that we have something that converts easily to milliliters. Now, in this case, we probably want to stop and check significant figures. Thankfully, it's really not that hard because 2.88 has 3, and because we were just multiplying by a factor of 10, in other words, a 1 with lots of zeros, our end answer still has 288 as the only significant figure, so nothing has changed there. But we're not finished, because we have to take this number, and we could recognize that this right here can be swapped out and be changed for milliliters, but that's not where we're going. Remember, we're trying to go to liters. So let's take our number and let's continue going forward with our conversions. So we have 2.880000, and that's milliliters. I go ahead and start using milliliters instead of centimeters cubed, because that will help me here. Milliliters will go on the bottom, liters will go on the top. If you haven't already written the conversion factor somewhere, let's go ahead and let's use this color. We're going to go ahead and write how many liters is equal to how many milliliters. In this case, we have 1 liter for every 1,000 milliliters. So in our conversion fraction here, the 1 goes with the liter and the 1,000 goes with the milliliters. I still recommend that you write your conversion factor somewhere, your conversion relationship somewhere on the page, so that when you get to the fraction, you don't accidentally switch the numbers thinking, oh, it's logical. But when you're in a hurry, what's logical sometimes gets forgotten. All right, we're ready to move forward. We're going to scratch out the milliliters because they cancel out, leaving us with just liters. If you are very good at math, you might recognize that these three mean that we could, well, I do it like this, where I basically divide the top and the bottom by 1,000, and I'm left with 2,880 with no other zeros because they canceled out, being divided by or multiplied by 1 over 1. But if that confuses you and you have no idea why I just marked those zeros out, you can start with your calculator. That's not my calculator. You can start with your calculator and you can type in 2,880,000, and then you can divide it by the 1,000 that we had, and it will give you the correct answer. So we have 2,880, and please pardon Microsoft Whiteboard that thinks my 8 is a triangle, and that's in liters. And again, checking our significant figures, we had 3 over here in this number. The rest of the zeros are not significant. And in our answer, we also have 3 significant figures. That 8 is not significant, and so our answer is fine just like it is. This is our answer. So if we're converting from meters cubed to liters, we can see that we started with 2.88 meters cubed, and our final answer is 2,880 liters.